Hey everyone, welcome back to NDC. Today we're talking about control flow in Swift. Control flow lets our programs make decisions, just like how you decide what to eat for breakfast or whether to bring an umbrella when it's cloudy. In Swift, we use control flow with if, else, and switch statements to help our code make choices. And guess what? We'll even build a fun little calculator together in Swift Playgrounds. Let's jump on it. So you can follow along using Swift Playgrounds on the iPad or in Xcode. I'm going to be using Xcode on my Mac here. So let's go ahead, once we've opened up Xcode, we'll go to File in the top left, New, Playground. And from here we can use the blank template. I'm going to go ahead and press Next. We'll give it a name. In this example, I'm just going to be calling mine Control Flow, and we'll go ahead and hit Create. We do have some things that are auto-filled. I'm just going to go ahead and delete those and resize my playground so it's a little bit easy to see and we have some more space. Cool. So as I mentioned before, control flow in programming is just like making decisions in real life. Imagine you're deciding whether or not to bring an umbrella. If it's raining, you grab it, else you leave it at home. This is exactly what we do in code using control flow. So let's go ahead and make our first if-else statement. So what we can do is we can create a variable, and let's call that is raining. Let's set that to be true. If you want to change it to false and see how your results may differ, always feel free to play around in the playgrounds. Again, they're called playgrounds for a reason, right? So let's go ahead and make our first if statement. You can either start it from scratch or go to the snippet library from the top right and type in if statement and grab if else here. So we'll say if is raining. So this is going to be checking for the condition to be true. We'll add a brace. So right next to the O and P key, if you hold shift, you'll create a brace. It kind of looks like a squiggly bracket. And within here, we can add any code. We'll hit return on the keyboard to make some space. It will autofill a closing brace for us as well. How nice of it. And we'll print its string, so we'll wrap it in quotation marks. It's raining, better bring an umbrella. So we'll check if it's raining, but since we're making an if-else statement, at the end of the if brace, you can go ahead and type else. Once again, you'll create some braces and add a space, and we'll go ahead and print no rain today, enjoy the sunshine. And as mentioned before, if you really want to add, emojis and your strings, you can. So we will add a fun little sun emoji here. Cool. Let's go ahead and run our program. You can press the play button in the bottom left. I'm actually going to click on it and hold it for like 3 or 4 seconds, and you'll see that the option to automatically run does come up. This way I don't have to constantly play my playground. The first time you run anything in Playgrounds, it might take a little bit of time, so just have some patience, and then after the first run through, it's usually pretty quick. So let's go ahead and open up our console in the bottom right of the screen, and we will be greeted with the message, it's raining, better bring an umbrella. So let's talk a little bit about what's happening here. We have our if statement that's saying if condition is met, then execute this code. Else, so if that condition is not met, you can kind of think of it as a fallback as well. Print no rain today, enjoy the sunshine. So if we go ahead and change our is raining from true to false, you'll see that it'll say, okay, if is raining, well, that's set to false, so that's not true, that's not happening. We will not run through this code. And we have the else statement that says, okay, so it's not raining, we'll run this code instead. No rain today, enjoy the sunshine. If we didn't have the else statement here, nothing would happen. So if you want to undo anything you've made, so in case you deleted that as well, you can press Command Z or Z, and you'll be able to bring that code back. So what if we want to check more than 2 conditions? we can actually use an else if statement. So let's go ahead and create a new statement here, and this time maybe we'll use some temperature. So we'll create a new variable. We'll say var temp. We'll set this to be 85, and let's create a new if statement. Again, if you want to borrow one of those code snippets, you can. I'm just going to type it out from the start. If temp is greater than, let's say, 90, we'll add a code brace here. We'll print, we'll say, it's super hot, wear shorts. Cool. And instead of just saying else, we can actually put else if, and we'll say another condition. So we'll say if temp is greater than 70, we'll say print, it's a nice, it's a nice day, wear a t-shirt. I do seem to be getting an error. I think that's just because I didn't include a space after my greater than symbol. And what we'll do is we'll finish this out with one last else, and we'll say print, it's chilly, wear a jacket perhaps. So let's take a look at what we see in the print console at the bottom here. So we've set our temperature to be 85. So if we plug in the number 85 here, we'll see if 85 is greater than 90. We know that's not true. So then we go to the next line of code. Remember, we kind of read code and the computer reads code sequentially. So we'll go to the next line, else if temp is greater than 70. In this case it is, 85 is greater than 70. It would print, it's a nice day, wear a t-shirt. If none of those prior conditions were met, we have that final else kind of again as that default or that fallback. It would say, it's chilly, wear a jacket. So if we updated this to be 95, the first condition would be met. It would print, it's super hot, wear shorts. And then maybe if we had this to be 50, none of those conditions would be met. So it goes to that final else, it's chilly, wear a jacket. So now we have multiple conditions, and we'll be able to kind of play around with those different control flows. You can include as many else if statements as you want. So if we wanted to also say else if temp is lower than 0, then maybe we say better grab a winter coat, and then we could have that last else statement here, and we'll say, what we had before, maybe grab a jacket. So if we put something that's, maybe the temperature is -10, you might want to grab that winter coat. My fellow Canadians can agree with that one. While there's some Canadians who are like, I'm gonna wear shorts when it's freezing outside. I don't know how you guys do it. Well, let's take a swift break. So, quick question. If you had to decide what to wear based on both temperature and rain, how would you write that in code? As a hint, try combining conditions in an if-else statement using both temperature and rain. Give it a shot in your playground and see what you come up with. A hint to check out and would to be include the double ampersand sign. You can do that with Shift 7. So give that a shot and try it out for yourself. Awesome. Now that we've taken a look at if, else, and else if statements, let's take a look at switch statements. If you have a lot of cases to check, switch is your best friend. It's cleaner than a bunch of else if statements. You can even see as we were kind of building that temperature together, the more things we added, it got a little bit more cluttered. So let's go ahead and create a constant, and we'll say let day of week equals, in this case today is Monday, please don't tell Garfield, and we'll go ahead and create a switch. Again, if you want to grab it from the snippet library, you can of course do that as well by grabbing the switch statement. So we'll say switch day of week. We'll add our code brace here, and this is when we can now create some cases. So what we'll do is case, and we'll call this one Monday. We'll add our colon, and this is where we can add what happens. We'll say print, we'll say start of the week. Let's hustle. Oops. Put our bracket back there. Let's then create another case. So let's say case, and maybe this time it's Friday. We'll add our colon, we'll hit return, and then we'll print it's almost the weekend. Hang on in there. You know how that goes. Let's create another case. Again, anytime we're creating case, we use the case keyword, and then we provide what it might be, whether that's a number, string, Boolean value, etc. And we'll say Saturday. We'll do our capitals here. Saturday. If we want to check for multiple cases, we can. We'll add a comma after the string of Saturday, and we'll also include Sunday. We'll add our colon. We can then print, and we'll say, yay, it's the weekend. I wish. And what we can do is, after we've created all of our cases, we can actually create something like the else statement above by actually providing a default. So we can actually type out default in all lowercase. We'll add our colon, and we'll hit enter, and we'll print. Maybe this will just say, just another weekday. Again, if you want to experiment with this, you can even have, Wednesday, if you want to have that be it's the middle of the week, work week or something like that, feel free to do so. Let's go ahead and see how this switch statement works. It's kind of like an if-else-if statement, again, with just more ranges, and especially when, we were doing the, quick little break of, having two conditions, we can use multiple conditions or even ranges within switch statements. So let's go ahead and break this down piece by piece. So we have the switch, which is called day of the week. So it's going to check for that variable, or perhaps constant in this case. And depending on what condition is met, a certain action will take place. So whenever it's Monday, it'll say start of the week, let's hustle. If the string says Friday, it's almost the weekend, hang on in there. If it's Saturday or Sunday, it will say yay, it's the weekend. Otherwise, if nothing else is there, it'll print just another weekday. Something I want to remind everyone of is Swift is case sensitive. So we are checking for the case of Monday with the capital M. If I were to take our day of the week and do Monday with a lowercase m, you'll notice that it says just another weekday. So make sure when you're working with strings that everything is the proper casing. So the lowercase and the uppercases match exactly. So let's have this change to Friday just so we can see how that looks. Sometimes what I'll do is, even with my switch statements, I'll just try everything out to make sure that they're working as intended. So as we expect, it says it's almost the weekend. Hang on in there. Maybe we'll throw in a Saturday. Yay, it's the weekend. And if we, put in our Wednesday, as I call it, Wednesday, sorry. Sometimes I spell things weirdly, or say them weirdly, how they're spelled. I don't know. It would say just another weekday. So play around with the switch statements, but essentially it allows us to check and kind of have those different conditions. Based on those different conditions, you'll provide in a result. So some people ask me, well, can't I just create if-else-if statements? And you totally can. It's totally up to you. I have certain cases where I'll use a switch and, if and else-if statements. Typically when I'm working with things that have a large variance, I will use switch statements, and a lot of times where there's ranges. So maybe if I'm checking on Snapchat for my streak with someone, and based off the streak number, they have a different emoji, maybe 1 through 5 is the fire emoji, 6 through 10 is the ghost emoji, so on and so forth. That's where I often use those switch statements to kind of check for those multiple conditions that we might be looking for. Okay, cool. Let's apply what we've learned by building a simple calculator that uses switch statements for basic operations. We'll even use the if-else statement to check if someone's trying to divide by 0. So let's go ahead and create some variables and constants. So we'll say let operation equals, and from here maybe we'll start with the addition sign, and we'll create 2 more where we'll say let num1 equals, for now we'll probably select this to be 10, you can use whatever number you want, and let num2 equals, maybe we'll do 5 for this one. We'll then create a new switch, so we'll type out switch, and we'll look for the operation. We'll add our brace, and we'll make a little bit of room with the return key, and let's create our first case. We'll have this one be the plus sign, and then we'll say print. We'll add our string here, and we'll say result. Result. We'll use some string interpolation. If you don't remember how to use interpolation, you can use the /, and you can add some brackets, and you can put that variable or constant in the brackets, and you can even do some math in these as well. So we'll say num1 plus num2. Great, let's create another case. This time maybe we'll do subtraction. We will then print our string of result, interpolation, num1 minus, I forgot my bracket, num1 minus num2. Make sure you have spaces in between the variables here, or constants rather. We'll create another case here, and we'll do multiplication this time. When we're multiplying in Swift, we can use the asterisk or Shift 8 on your keyboard. This time we will print result / brackets num1 times num2. And we'll do one more case, and this will be a special one. So we'll say case, and we'll do division this time. So /, and instead of immediately printing our results, let's go ahead, and because this is a calculator, we'll create an if-else statement to check if the user is dividing by 0. So we'll say if num2, we can actually use a does not equals, so we can use the exclamation point to basically say nope, so we can check for the opposite basically. So we can say if num2 exclamation point equals 0, so if num2 does not equal 0, we'll add our braces here. From there we can print again that we had result, which is / bracket num1 / num2. We'll then say else, add our brace, and then maybe we print to the user that there's an error. So we'll say print cannot divide by 0. Amazing. So we need to finally go to our bottom here and add a default statement. And in that case, we'll just say print invalid operation. Right, so if it's not any of those operations that we have, we basically have that fallback that says, hey, this is not available within our calculator. You know, you can even say like, please try something else if you want. All right, let's see how this works. So I'm gonna run my program. I have mine on auto run, so you'll already see the result in the console. But essentially it's going to look and take our operation and then plug our numbers in. So 10 plus 5, that does indeed equal 15. If we change this to be minus, we'll get the result of 5. That's correct. If we change this to be times, we'll get 50. And if we change it to be divide, we'll get the result of 2. And just to check our if-else statement, if we change our number 2 to be the number 0, we get a cannot divide by 0. Cool. Cool, so we can use switch statements, we can use if-else statements within those switch statements, in this case, preventing our user from dividing by 0. That's it for today's lesson. Go ahead and write your own if-else or switch statements in your playground and try building your own little calculator. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop a comment below if you do have any questions. And as always, dream big and code bigger. Take care, everyone.